Have you ever stepped into a room and felt an immediate wave of calm wash over you simply because everything was exactly where it belonged? There's a quiet kind of magic in that moment. It isn't loud or dramatic. It's a soft whisper that tells you, here, you're safe. Here, you can breathe. Research shows that an organized home can gently lower stress levels, almost like the way a peaceful walk through a sunlit park soothes your mind. That's the kind of peace we're going to explore together today. In this video, we're going to talk about 7 ruthless yet surprisingly gentle decluttering tricks that seniors use to clear entire homes in just 48 hours. When I say ruthless, don't picture something cold or harsh. What I mean is focused, intentional, and deeply freeing. It's about letting go of what no longer serves you so you can create space for what truly matters. Imagine soft morning light streaming through spotless windows, casting golden patterns across a polished floor. Picture the scent of freshly cleaned wood mingling with a faint breeze coming from an open window. Hear the faint creak of a drawer sliding open smoothly, with everything inside resting neatly in its place. That vision isn't far away. It's closer than you might think. Maybe you've stood in a cluttered room before, feeling overwhelmed by the sheer number of things around you. Perhaps you told yourself you'd deal with it someday, only to feel the weight of it growing heavier as the days passed. Or maybe you've already started the process once, but stopped halfway, unsure of where to go next. You're not alone. Many people, especially those who have collected a lifetime of memories, face the same challenge. There's comfort in knowing that clarity and calm aren't reserved for a select few. They're waiting for anyone willing to take a brave, steady step forward. This journey doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't ask you to throw away everything you love or to live in an empty space stripped of personality. Instead, it invites you to create a home that supports the person you've become, not the person you used to be. There's beauty in keeping objects that truly spark joy, but there's also freedom in releasing the ones that quietly weigh you down. And sometimes, you don't even realize how heavy something has become until you finally let it go. As we move through these 7 strategies, I want you to picture yourself not just tidying a room, but lifting a soft fog that's been sitting in your chest. Each item you choose to keep, gift, or let go of brings you closer to lightness, to room for laughter, to an environment that welcomes you every time you walk through the door. Think of the satisfaction that comes from opening a closet and finding only the clothes you actually wear, or sitting down at a table where every surface is clear, except for a warm cup of tea and a favorite book. If you've ever longed for a home that feels calm, where every corner offers a quiet breath of relief, stay with me. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore these 7 tricks together. Some of them may surprise you. Others may feel like old wisdom, the kind you've always known deep down, but needed to hear spoken aloud. And here's the best part. You don't need to wait weeks or months to see results. These methods have helped countless people reclaim their homes and their sense of peace in just 48 hours. It starts with a decision. A gentle promise to yourself that your surroundings can reflect the ease you want to feel inside. So take a deep breath, let your shoulders soften, and allow yourself to imagine a space that truly supports you. By the end of this video, you may find yourself looking at your home in an entirely new way. And the first trick, the one we'll dive into next, might just change the way you see everything you own. Seniors who have mastered the art of decluttering often begin with a deceptively simple ritual known as the 5-minute sweep. At first glance, it might look like nothing more than a quick tidy up, but there's something powerful hidden inside this gentle practice. You set a timer for just 5 minutes, grab a sturdy basket or box, and slowly walk through a single room. As you move, you place inside the basket every item that clearly doesn't belong where it sits. You don't overthink it, you don't judge yourself for how it got there, you simply gather. Shoes left by the couch, yesterday's newspaper resting on the arm of a chair, mugs that wandered from the kitchen to the bedroom, a jacket draped across a chair waiting to be hung. One by one, you lift these small intruders and collect them, creating space with each gesture. What's remarkable about this little sweep is that it's not really about cleaning. It's about waking up your attention, reminding yourself that your surroundings respond to even the smallest burst of intention. Many seniors say the sweep feels like opening a window inside the mind. A retired teacher once told me, "I started with just 5 minutes, and suddenly I could breathe again." There's a quiet thrill in seeing how quickly a room begins to shift beneath your hands. The timer isn't there to rush you, it's there to free you from the pressure of perfection. Anyone can do something for 5 minutes, and that permission makes starting so much easier. As you move through your space, you might begin to notice details you've overlooked for years. A forgotten photograph hidden under a stack of papers, a delicate teacup balancing on the edge of a shelf, a half-read magazine lying quietly in a corner. These small discoveries can bring tiny bursts of memory and warmth, and they remind you why this work matters. Every room tells a story about how you've been living. The 5-minute sweep lets you pause and ask whether the story still fits who you are today. Sometimes the act of gathering is enough to break through the heaviness that clutter can create. You'll see patches of bare table surface or sunlight falling uninterrupted across the floor, and something inside you will relax. The room begins to reflect clarity, and that clarity ripples inward. Even if you don't have time to put everything back in its proper place right away, you've already taken the most important step. You've interrupted the cycle of disorder with a moment of intention, and that moment can grow into momentum if you let it. The beauty of this strategy lies in its simplicity. You don't need fancy tools, expensive organizers, or an entire weekend cleared from your schedule. All you need is 5 minutes and a willingness to start. When you return to the room later, you'll find that it greets you differently. There's a new openness in the air, as if the walls themselves are grateful for the attention. That feeling can be surprisingly addictive in the best way. Once you experience how light a space can feel, you'll want to repeat the sweep in other rooms, letting the sense of order spread. If you've been longing for clarity in your own home, this is your invitation to begin. You don't need to plan every step or wait for the perfect day. Choose one spot, pick up a basket, set your timer, and allow the quiet rhythm of the 5-minute sweep to guide you. It may seem small, but its impact is anything but. One clear corner can lead to a clear shelf, a clear table, and eventually a clear mind. And when you step back and notice the calm that has settled where chaos once lived, you'll understand why this little practice has become a secret weapon for so many who have learned how to let peace take root in their homes. Here's where the journey begins to feel bold and alive. After the calm introduction of the 5-minute sweep, many seniors who've truly transformed their homes take the next brave step, what they call the 48-hour pledge. This isn't about rushing or putting yourself under harsh pressure. It's about making a clear, loving promise to give your space and yourself 2 full days of focused attention. For 48 hours, every spare moment belongs to this mission of release and renewal. It's like drawing a boundary around time and saying, for these 2 days, I choose clarity. At first, the idea might sound intimidating. You may wonder if you'll have the energy or the stamina, but the secret is that this pledge is less about speed and more about setting a sacred container. The very act of dedicating that window of time tells your brain and heart that something important is happening. It gives structure to the process and turns what could feel endless into a manageable adventure. Seniors who have walked this path often describe it as freeing, like opening the door to a gentle breeze that sweeps through the rooms, carrying away what no longer belongs. On the morning you begin, there's a quiet excitement in the air. Some people make a little ritual of it. They brew a cup of tea or coffee, light a candle, or open a window to let in fresh air. They gather their supplies, a few sturdy boxes labeled keep, donate, recycle, and trash, a soft cloth for wiping shelves, maybe even a playlist of music that makes them smile. This preparation isn't just practical, it sets the tone. It says, this is more than decluttering. This is an act of care.
As the first hours unfold, you'll find a rhythm that feels almost meditative. You pick up an item, decide its place, and move on. Time starts to blur, not in a frantic way, but in the way it does when you're absorbed in a good book or a gentle walk. And just when you start to think the task is too big, you notice small patches of progress, a tabletop cleared, a drawer that finally closes with ease, a hallway that suddenly feels wider because bags of donations are waiting by the door. That momentum is the quiet reward for saying yes to the pledge. Of course, there will be moments when you pause, holding something in your hands, unsure whether to keep it or let it go. That's normal. Those pauses are part of the process. They remind you that decluttering is also about honoring the life behind the objects, the travels, the birthdays, the quiet mornings shared with someone dear. Give yourself grace in those moments, but keep the promise of the pledge alive. Gently remind yourself that the goal is not to erase your story, but to create space for the chapters still to come. Many people are surprised by how much lighter they feel before the 48 hours are even over. They look around and see their homes reflecting back a version of themselves that feels present and alive, not trapped in the weight of what used to be. The rooms seem to exhale. There's more light on the walls, more air between the furniture, more room to move and breathe. Some describe it as though their homes have learned to breathe along with them, releasing a quiet sigh of relief. If you've ever wanted to see what's possible in just a weekend, this is your chance. The 48-hour pledge isn't about achieving a picture-perfect home. It's about inviting a sense of freedom into every corner. When you commit to it, even for a single room or a few chosen spaces, you send a message to yourself. I deserve surroundings that support the life I want now. And by the end of those 2 days, you may find that the change inside you is just as powerful as the one you see in your home.
One of the most transformative habits that people discover in their decluttering journey is something called the one-touch rule. At first, it sounds almost too simple, but within its quiet clarity lies a powerful shift. The idea is this: whenever you pick something up, you decide its fate right then and there, before you put it down. You either keep it and place it where it belongs, donate it, recycle it, or let it go. There's no in-between, no "I'll deal with it later" pile waiting to grow dusty in the corner. It may seem small, but this single practice has the ability to change the way you relate to every object in your home. When seniors embrace the one-touch rule, they often describe feeling as though they've reclaimed authority over their surroundings. For years, they may have felt weighed down by indecision, allowing items to drift from one surface to another, never fully belonging anywhere. But the moment they start treating each encounter as an opportunity for resolution, the atmosphere in their home begins to shift. It's no longer a place where clutter lingers. It becomes a space alive with purpose and calm. Imagine standing in front of a cluttered table, a book you meant to read, an empty cup, a letter that's been waiting for a reply, a scarf tossed aside. In the past, you might have looked at the mess, sighed, and promised yourself you'd get to it later. Under the one-touch rule, you pick up the book and ask yourself, will I read this one the next month? If the answer is yes, you return it to its proper shelf. If not, you consider donating it or placing it somewhere more fitting. You take the cup to the kitchen, the letter to your writing desk, the scarf back to its hook by the door. With each decision, a layer of fog lifts from the room. What makes this habit so effective is the way it disrupts procrastination. Every time you delay a choice, the item continues to occupy both physical and mental space. That hesitation slowly builds an invisible weight, one that you carry without noticing. The one-touch rule cuts through that burden with gentle precision. By deciding in the moment, you give yourself the gift of closure, however small. Each object becomes an opportunity to practice clarity. At first, the process may feel strict or unfamiliar. You might hesitate, wondering if you're ready to make so many little decisions.
But with practice, it becomes a natural rhythm, almost like a conversation between you and your surroundings. Seniors who have used this method for a while often say it brings them a surprising sense of lightness. They stop feeling like caretakers of endless things and begin to see themselves as curators, selecting only what genuinely deserves a place in their lives. This isn't about perfection or forcing yourself to live with bare shelves. It's about honoring the energy of your home and the value of your attention. When you choose where something belongs or that it doesn't belong at all, you create harmony between yourself and your environment. Even the act of letting something go can feel like an act of respect, acknowledging its usefulness and allowing it to continue its journey elsewhere. If you've ever found yourself standing in a room unsure where to begin, try the one-touch rule. Pick up a single item and give it a clear future. Then do the same with another and another. Watch how quickly the space begins to reflect calm instead of chaos. Over time, you'll find that you no longer accumulate clutter the way you once did. Each decision teaches you to live with intention, and your home slowly becomes a place where every belonging has a purpose. By adopting this simple yet profound practice, you give yourself more than an organized space. You give yourself the ease that comes with knowing everything around you is there by choice, not by accident. That feeling of intentional order is one of the quiet gifts of decluttering, and the one-touch rule is a gentle key to unlocking it.
When it comes to decluttering, few moments feel as tender or as complicated as deciding what to do with the belongings that carry memories. This is where many people pause, sometimes for years, because the heart gets tangled up with the objects we hold. Seniors who succeed in clearing their homes without losing themselves lean on a simple but profound question. Is this a treasure or is it a trap? That single sentence becomes a gentle compass, guiding them through the fog of sentiment. Picture yourself holding a faded photograph, the edges curled from time. Maybe it's a snapshot from a summer picnic or a holiday gathering long ago. As you look closer, you feel warmth rising in your chest, a reminder of laughter, love, or even quiet companionship. That's a treasure, a piece of your history that lifts you rather than weighs you down. Treasures deserve honor. They can be displayed in a frame, placed lovingly in an album, or stored carefully where you can revisit them whenever your heart needs to wander back. But sometimes, when you pick something up, the feeling is different. Perhaps it's a gift you never liked but felt guilty discarding, or a pile of old letters from a chapter of life you've already outgrown. Maybe it's an heirloom so fragile or awkward that keeping it has become a burden instead of a blessing. Those are traps. They whisper of obligation, guilt, or sadness. They take up room not just on shelves, but inside your spirit, holding you hostage to a past that no longer fits. Learning to recognize the difference is an act of kindness to yourself. Seniors who've mastered this skill don't rush the process. They sit quietly with an item, letting its story rise to the surface. They allow themselves to smile, to sigh, to remember. Then, gently, they decide. If the object shines with meaning, they find a place of honor for it, somewhere it can spark joy instead of collecting dust in the shadows. If it feels heavy, they thank it for the role it played and release it, passing it on, donating it, or simply letting it go. They understand that memories don't live inside boxes or drawers. They live inside us, safe and unbroken. This step can be emotional, but it is also freeing. With every trap released, there's a subtle lightness in the room, as though the walls have exhaled. The space becomes less about clinging and more about choosing what truly belongs. Many people find that the hardest part isn't letting go of the item itself, it's releasing the story they've attached to it, the belief that they must keep everything to keep the moments alive. The truth is, love and experience stay with you no matter how much you pare down. If you're standing in a room surrounded by keepsakes, unsure of where to begin, try holding just one object and asking quietly, does this free me or does it bind me? You may be surprised at how clear the answer feels when you give yourself permission to listen. Sometimes the realization is gentle. This piece has served its purpose, and it's time for it to bless someone else or simply fade away. Other times, you'll know instantly that what you hold is precious,
something that deserves a place in your present as much as it belonged to your past. Learning to separate treasures from traps doesn't diminish the life you've lived, it highlights it. It allows the brightest memories to shine while releasing the weight of everything that no longer serves you. When you make space in this way, your home begins to mirror your heart, filled with stories that inspire, not obligations that suffocate. And that clarity invites you to enjoy what you've kept all the more, free of the quiet pull of clutter that once crowded your joy.
One of the most practical and surprisingly uplifting strategies seniors use to keep momentum in their decluttering journey is setting up what they call donation stations. The idea is to create small, clearly marked spots around your home where items can wait for their next chapter instead of slipping back into clutter. It may sound simple, yet this approach has a quiet elegance because it turns the act of letting go into an ongoing, almost effortless habit. Imagine placing a sturdy box or a woven basket near your front door, another one in the hallway, maybe a third tucked beside your favorite chair. Label them in a way that feels welcoming. Give, recycle, trash, or any words that make you smile. The labels aren't there to nag, they're little signposts reminding you that every object has a destination. Suddenly, as you move through your home, you have somewhere to put the mug you no longer use, the scarf that never quite suited you, or the extra set of kitchen tools you've been meaning to pass along. Instead of drifting from surface to surface, those items find a temporary resting place until you're ready to send them on. Many people describe the first week with donation stations as eye-opening. You start to notice how often you encounter things that don't serve you anymore. A drawer full of unused gadgets, a shelf crowded with books you've read and won't revisit, a cabinet holding glasses you never reach for. Each one is an invitation to make a gentle decision. And because the stations are always nearby, you don't have to stop what you're doing or plan a big clean-out session. You simply drop the item in the appropriate basket and keep moving. That small act creates a sense of flow, almost like a quiet current carrying away what no longer fits. There's also something deeply satisfying about watching these boxes fill up over time. Seniors often say it feels like their home is slowly learning to breathe. As objects leave, space opens, not just on the shelves, but inside you. You begin to see surfaces again, the gleam of a polished table, the simplicity of a clear countertop. Even the air seems lighter because the visual noise has started to fade. Each donation becomes a gift to someone else, and each discarded piece is a gift to your own sense of calm. When you're ready, set aside a moment to empty the stations. Take the give box to a local charity or community center. Drop off recyclables and dispose of what's truly worn out. This step completes the circle, transforming your home into a place of intentional exchange rather than silent accumulation. Some seniors make a little ritual of this. They put on music, brew a cup of tea, and load the car with items ready for a new life. There's a sweetness in knowing that what once gathered dust in a corner might now brighten someone else's day. Over time, donation stations become more than just containers. They're gentle teachers, reminding you that ownership is a living process, not a static one. They whisper encouragement every time you pass by. Here's your chance to create space. And because they're always there, the effort to stay organized feels lighter, less like a chore, and more like a quiet rhythm woven into daily life. With these stations in place, decluttering stops being a one-time event and becomes a calm, steady practice, allowing your home to remain a sanctuary of ease and simplicity. Resetting tiny zones is one of the most powerful ways to keep a home feeling fresh, calm, and easy to maintain. Instead of tackling an entire room, this approach focuses on small, defined areas: the corner of a kitchen counter, the top of a dresser, the nightstand beside your bed. These spaces are like little stages where clutter loves to gather, but they are also perfect canvases for quick wins. By resetting them often, you create visible order without the pressure of a massive cleaning session. And each reset sends a subtle message to the rest of your home. This is a place where things stay in balance.
Start by choosing a single zone, something so small you could clear it in just a few minutes. Perhaps it's the coffee table that tends to attract mail, magazines, and stray glasses. Or maybe it's the bathroom vanity, where bottles and brushes slowly spread out until the surface disappears. Stand back and really look at the spot you've chosen. Notice what belongs, what doesn't, and how you want it to feel when you're done. The clarity that comes from focusing on such a tiny slice of your home is energizing. It removes the overwhelm that can come with bigger tasks. Once you've selected your zone, sweep everything off and give the surface a gentle wipe. This simple act of clearing creates an immediate sense of possibility, as though you've opened a blank page waiting for a story to unfold. Then, with intention, place back only the items that truly earn their space. A lamp, a framed photo, a favorite candle, objects that serve a purpose or lift your spirits. Anything else either finds a new home, lands in a donation station, or gets tossed. This deliberate reset turns a once cluttered patch into a small sanctuary of order. As you get comfortable with this method, you'll notice how contagious it becomes. A clean nightstand invites you to reset the dresser across the room. A clear kitchen counter makes you want to tidy the breakfast nook. These small victories ripple outward, giving you a sense of progress and control without the exhaustion of tackling an entire room at once. Seniors often find this especially freeing because it allows them to pace their energy while still seeing real, tangible results. There's also an emotional layer to resetting tiny zones. Each time you care for one of these spaces, you're reinforcing the idea that your surroundings deserve attention and respect, and so do you. It's a gentle act of self-kindness, a way of saying, I matter, and my home should reflect that. Over time, these refreshed areas become touchstones of calm, little reminders that order is always just a few moments away. To keep the habit alive, set a simple rhythm. 1 or 2 resets a day, no more than 5 minutes each. You might choose to reset a zone before you leave a room or at the end of the evening, giving yourself the pleasure of waking up to a neat surface. The consistency is what transforms the practice from an occasional burst of tidying into a steady, effortless routine. And the best part is how quickly the rewards show up. Every cleared space feels like a breath of fresh air, an invitation to enjoy the beauty of simplicity.
Celebration is the quiet but essential finale to any successful decluttering journey. After all the effort you've invested, pausing to acknowledge your progress anchors the change deep inside you. Many people skip this step, rushing on to the next task, but that small moment of recognition is what turns a one-time effort into a lasting lifestyle. So take a gentle breath and let yourself notice what you've created. Look around the room you've transformed, the clear shelves, the uncluttered floors, the way light seems to stretch further across freshly opened space. These aren't just clean surfaces, they're proof of your determination and care. One lovely way to celebrate is to add something simple that honors your new environment. Maybe place a small vase with fresh flowers on your table, or put a soft throw over the arm of your favorite chair. Seniors often find joy in introducing a touch of warmth or beauty that doesn't add clutter, but signals, this is my peaceful place now. The celebration doesn't need to be grand. Sometimes the quiet satisfaction of sitting with a cup of tea, breathing in the freshness is more than enough. It's in these moments that you realize decluttering isn't just about discarding things. It's about creating room for calm and connection. And here's something many don't expect. Maintaining this calm is far easier when you treat it as an ongoing relationship with your home rather than a finish line. Instead of waiting for piles to grow again, make light maintenance a natural part of your day. A quick sweep of a tiny zone, returning a book to its shelf, folding a blanket back after use, these gentle actions protect the serenity you worked so hard to build.
Think of it as tending a garden. A little attention each day keeps everything flourishing with minimal effort. If you ever feel the temptation to let clutter creep back in, pause and remember how good it felt to cross that threshold and see everything in order. Maybe even take a snapshot of your freshly organized space. It can be a quiet reminder of how far you've come. And when doubt sneaks in, when you wonder if you can really keep up with it, remember that small habits have tremendous power. It isn't about perfection. It's about care, consistency, and choosing a home that reflects your peace. And here's something many don't expect. Maintaining this calm is far easier when you treat it as an ongoing relationship with your home rather than a finish line. Instead of waiting for piles to grow again, make light maintenance a natural part of your day. A quick sweep of a tiny zone, returning a book to its shelf, folding a blanket back after use. These gentle actions protect the serenity you worked so hard to build. Think of it as tending a garden. A little attention each day keeps everything flourishing with minimal effort. If you ever feel the temptation to let clutter creep back in, pause and remember how good it felt to cross that threshold and see everything in order. Maybe even take a snapshot of your freshly organized space. It can be a quiet reminder of how far you've come. And when doubt sneaks in, when you wonder if you can really keep up with it, remember that small habits have tremendous power. It isn't about perfection. It's about care, consistency, and choosing a home that reflects your peace. And another meaningful way to maintain motivation is to share your success with someone who appreciates your effort. Invite a friend over for coffee and let them see how relaxed your space feels. Or call a loved one and describe the difference these changes have made in your day-to-day comfort. Hearing yourself talk about it reinforces the pride you've earned, and your story might inspire someone else to begin their own gentle transformation. Above all, celebrate yourself. You've honored your memories by keeping what truly matters and released what no longer serves you. You've made room for light, movement, and quiet joy. Maintaining that sense of spaciousness becomes easier when you connect it to a feeling of gratitude. Each time you glance around a room that now feels airy and alive, let a smile form. That smile is the truest sign that your work has taken root, that you've built something you'll cherish every day.